Without a doubt, the best panoramic view of Detroit has got to be from the top of the Z Garage, 10th floor, bird's eye view. Right here on this historic spot will be a skyscraper that will put Detroit on the map. When you visit my favorite city, Paris, especially for the first time, you just got to go on top of the Eiffel Tower for that terrific view of the City of Lights. In London, you got to go see Big Ben and catch the view from the top of the Elizabeth Tower. Also in London, if you're not into the traditional of Big Ben, well, there's the modern, and that would be the Shard, with a spectacular view of the British capital. Great place to get a belvedere or viewpoint of the city of Montreal is from Mount Royal. What a lovely city. To catch a view of Mexico City, the Torre Latino Americano would be your choice. The view may be obscured by smog, but it's a view. No mystery as to where you go in New York City. That would be the Empire State Building or the New World Trade Center. When I visited Tokyo, I just had to get a bird's eye view from above, and that I got from the Tokyo Skytree. And if you happen to be in Guangzhou, you get that bird's eye view from the Canton Tower. When Barbara and I visited Shanghai, well, we just had to go on top of the Oriental Pearl Tower. But if you were to go now, you'd surely go on top of the new Shanghai Tower. That's the world's tallest observation deck. Well, wait a minute. What about the Burj Khalifa in Dubai? Isn't that the highest?
Suddenly, the world I used to know, I see it differently. You woke me from a dream, now here's reality. Baby, baby, you are really hurting me.
Hey, there's nothing like that good old Motown beat to get around to talking about Detroit. Well, where do you go to get a bird's eye view of Detroit? I'm not talking drones here. I'm talking from the top of structures. In downtown Detroit, right there, is the Spirit of Detroit. This statue reminds me of my late brother. When I brought him here during his illness, he was so proud of the fact that the architect, Marshall Fredericks, was a former accounting client of his firm. And as I pan to the south, there is obviously the best lookout over the city of Detroit, the Rennes Center. Why, of course, that's so obvious. That's the exact reason why Glenn and I took a tour of the Rennes Center so we could get up to the observation deck and look at the city of Detroit.
And the scale of this model is only about a mile. This little tube that goes around is the people mover track. So the people mover only goes out about maybe a half.
And this was Glenn about a year ago. It's officially called the GM Rennes Center, but the General Motors part only is the outer towers. The middle tower is the Renaissance Marriott, which is the tallest hotel in North America. It was with shock and regret that we found out during the tour that there was no longer an observation deck at the top because the restaurant that was up there had closed down in January of 2017. There are reports that a lease has been signed with a new restaurant to be opened at some point in the future. This would be the place to go in Detroit to get a bird's eye view. Your next best bet would be the Guardian Building, the historic Guardian Building, a real gem located in the Detroit Financial District. Let's take a ride up in the historic elevators that were the first in the world to stop flush with the floor. impressive view that I got from the top of a parking garage in Greektown. In the foreground are the twin spires of Old St. Mary's Catholic Church, a very historic church in Detroit. And, of course, in the background, you've got the Rennes Center right there. What a beautiful view. And here is about as good a view as you'll get of Monroe Street going towards downtown, and that is known as Greektown right there. Greektown, of course, is known as the go-to place in Detroit day or night. The street, Monroe Street, is lined with restaurants and the Greektown Casino. That brings me to another famous garage in Detroit, and that's the Z Garage, a development of Bedrock, a branch of Dan Gilbert's Quicken Loans. It's well known for its murals and an alley beside the garage known as the Belt. Without a doubt, the name Bedrock, that's the real estate branch of Dan Gilbert's financial empire, is more responsible than anything else for the rebirth of Detroit. In the picture that you're viewing at, 92 properties in downtown Detroit between Grand Circus and the river were bought by Dan Gilbert for redevelopment. That's phenomenal. Without a doubt, the best panoramic view of Detroit has got to be from the top of the Z Garage, 10th floor, bird's eye view. 10th floor, bird's eye view, right behind me, even though the bird is looking that way. Yes, we wouldn't be talking about Detroit as America's great comeback city if it wasn't for Dan Gilbert and Bedrock in downtown Detroit. But what you're looking at right there is a very historic site. And when Bedrock is finished with this very historic site, this will be another game changer for downtown Detroit. Because on the East Coast, you have New York City with the skyscrapers. In the Midwest, you have Chicago with the Sears Tower, now called the Willis Tower. But nothing in between. Right here on this historic spot will be a skyscraper that will put Detroit on the map. And that historic spot was the former iconic J.L. Hudson department store. Join me next Friday for more on this fascinating city of Detroit. And if you made it this far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and maybe a comment. Don't forget, even if you're subscribed, you need to click on the alert bell in order to get notification of the next vlog published every Friday. Have a great week.
Suddenly, the world I used to know, I see it differently. You woke me from a dream, now here's reality. Baby, baby, you are really hurting me. 'Cause every time